Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure healing, miracle working love. I want to talk to you today about smart cities, or are they? Let me give you a description of what we'll discuss. In this teaching, we will discuss smart cities, what they are, advantages and disadvantages of smart cities, examples of smart cities, and my choice where I have a reservation. Also, a warning about control of smart cities by governments, both local and global. So let's talk about smart cities, or are they? Smart cities are being planned and developed due to demand, and in some cases due to foresight. Cities are growing. 2 in 3 people will live in cities by 2050. Cities are also responsible for 3/4 of total energy consumption and 80% of greenhouse gas emissions, and therefore have spatial responsibility for the future. But who is seeing this need? And who is taking advantage of this need for other purposes? So let's start by discussing the different factions, the corporations, governments, and organizations who are actively involved in the current and future development of smart cities, smart neighborhoods, and smart industrial residential complexes. Let's define them by their goals. Number 1, sustainable environment, planning for society as a whole. Number 2, energy conservation, must act now, critical environments. Number 3, parasites, entities like the ESG, economic social governance, WEF, World Economic Forum, and the Global Reset. In an article in Business Chief titled Technology and AI by Sahanya Samrasingh, says smart cities use ICT technology to fuel smarter and more sustainable development. But the writer then chooses Chicago as number 10 of the smartest cities in the United States. Evidently, the writer did not check out the murder rate in Chicago while doing research. I wonder which kills more and faster, bad climate or murders. I used to own an architectural firm. Of importance in design, including municipal, manufacturing, and residential, is safety, not only of the buildings, but of the community. The safety accommodations of a city are variegated. Let me give you an example of a smart city that is smart as it regards to energy resource sustainability, business manufacturing and residential mix, and neighborhood social makeup. Clearly show that progress is at home in Vienna, and I placed a link in the podcast show notes so you can check that out. What made Vienna a smart city? Resource efficiency and climate crisis are big challenges for cities around the world, and Vienna is taking up these global issues with flying colors. Smart production in the city are also essential elements of its strategy for Vienna 2030. Vienna operates one of the biggest district heating networks in Europe, and compared to conventional air conditioning systems, the generation of central cooling needs 4 to 10 times less primary energy, saves space, and is quiet and visually inconspicuous. That makes it a smart cooling situation. Vienna has a district cooling network that supplies big customers like hospitals, public buildings, hotels, and district cooling should also be available soon for private households. But are smart cities all that good for everyone? Stephen Poole writes in The Guardian, "The truth about smart cities is this. In the end, they will destroy democracy." Whoa, that's a pretty heavy statement. One take-home message at a Smart City conference seemed to be that whatever the smart city might be, it will be acceptable as long as it emerges from the ground up, the bottom up, or the citizen-led approach. But check this out. Things that enable the approach, a vast network of sensors, millions of electronic ears, eyes, and noses, also potentially enable the future city to be a vast resource of surveillance by whoever has access to the data feeds. What are some other disadvantages of smart cities? Number one, demand 24/7 connectivity and power supply. Whoops, what happens with a power outage? Whoops, what happens with an enemy attacks you with EMP, electromagnetic pulse? Also, the security issues related to public data and surveillance. Think again, China. Almost 70% of the world's largest cities have already invested in smart city technologies. This is where a big danger lies. Consolidation of local, state, and regional governments, and in the future possibly national governments, with ESG, WEF, and or global resource platforms will cross the line of sacrificing freedom for control. When this happens, there will be no individuality, no personalization, only accepted control. ESG, WEF, and Global Reset are dangerous. The best place to find information about the Global Reset is on the website of the World Economic Forum. Rather than focus on the profits, private property rights, and demand from consumers, and the cornerstones of free market economies, WEF Reset wants to develop a system based largely on environmental, social, and governance, or ESG. Beware of ESG. The global reset is purposely about shifting wealth and power into the hands of elites and surveillance of the common citizen, even small business owners. So watch out, my friend, for the big reset. Watch out for ESG. The big banks are not your friends anymore. They're all moving along with ESG. And watch out for digital currency. The World Economic Forum wants to control everything in your life. A digital ID system that would collect personal data about your online behavior, purchase history, network usage, medical history, travel history, energy uses, your health status. In other words, a social credit score like China uses. Then they use this data to determine who should open bank accounts, who should conduct financial transactions, who should access insurance and health treatment, book trips for travel, cross borders, and much more. ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance and refers to the three key factors when measuring the sustainability and ethical impact of investment in a business or company. ESG criteria aids some investors. It guides them to avoid companies that might pose a greater purported financial risk due to their environmental or other practices. S&P, which is Standard & Poor's, the creator of financial market indices, widely used as investment benchmarks, a data source, and an issuer of credit ratings, S&P Global says it incorporates ESG risk and opportunities into the credit rating analysis of public issuers, and has recently implemented this for every state in the United States. This includes ambiguous and open-ended categories such as how a state scores on managing carbon. It's very easy to discern that those beliefs are left-wing. S&P assigns a lower ESG score to states that have both physical risks like earthquakes and natural disasters and a larger percentage of their economy tied to natural resource extraction like oil and gas production. So if you're looking to move to a smart city now or in the future, make sure it's controlled from the ground up. By that I mean controlled by the citizens, the tenants, and not just an HOA, especially not by ESG, WEF, or a government or enterprise. Check it out before you do. Now let me summarize and help you. I'm going to tell you about the smart city where I have a reservation. There is a super smart city, and it will be in Messiah's millennial rule, where Messiah Yeshua, or Jesus, the Anointed One, rules on planet Earth from Jerusalem for 1,000 years. Ever wonder what it will be like and what environmental changes will take place? I can tell you exactly from the Hebrew Scriptures in the Tanakh. I can tell you what environmental changes, what changes will take place in the topography of the land and the weather patterns. I can tell you that all exactly, and I've got that all laid out for you. It's in a link that I placed in the show notes of the podcast called Millennial Kingdom Part B. However, there's one condition. You need a ticket. But don't worry, you can win that ticket. I placed a link for that also in the podcast show notes. My friend, now you can win big. This is going to help you a bunch. You can have a beautiful home in the best environment and with key community benefits. It's all yours, my friend. I look forward to seeing you there. This has been your friend, Prince Handley, coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure, healing, miracle-working love. Baruch haba b'shem Adonai.